Well, welcome in and Happy New Year. Welcome into 2024 as the level of interest and excitement in college basketball will certainly begin to increase over the next couple of weeks. We got plenty tonight here to get involved with 30 games, I believe, on this Tuesday now, January the 2nd. Get us all back into the swing of things here as we kick off 2024 on WagerTalk TV and the college basketball tip-off show. We've got three big game breakdowns and three best bets from, that's right, 1, 2, and 3 of the best handicappers over at WagerTalk.com to help us put it all together with college hoops as R1L, a.k.a. Mr. Chin, is in the house. We do have BL, Bryan Leonard, and Mr. Rob Vino hanging out, ready to go and kick off the new year in epic fashion. And no better way to do that with a couple of blue bloods that are going at it here tonight, gentlemen, for our big game breakdowns. And you got to love it, kicking right off the new year with some of the bigger name groups here. And Merrill, why don't you start us off with none better than North Carolina? Doesn't get any more blue blood than that. On the road, taking on Pitt. Not as big a number as you would thought you might get here, considering it's North Carolina. I'm seeing 4s, 4.5, somewhere in that ballpark there. You trust them on the road to be laying that is the big question.
First of all, Happy New Year, Joe Ranieri. My resolution is to make you laugh more often, so I'm glad I've been able to help out in that cause right out of the bat here in the first show of the year. Sorry I missed you yesterday on last call, the January 1st edition, but I thought there was no way you would be up before noon on January 1st, so I'm very happy that you're up to host that show.
Solid point.
Yep. Sorry I'm running late today, boys, but I had to get the new background out, the old background back. People did not like the green screen last week, so the viewers win. We got the hats, the trophies, some Rob Vino stuff in the background, too. You have to look really close for that stuff. But anyway, it's nice to be back, guys. And this is a nice college basketball game tonight on Tuesday. Big East, obviously, the former Big East team in Pitt, now an ACC team. They don't really feel like an ACC battle still when they play North Carolina, but I do think they're a live home dog tonight. I like Pittsburgh in this game. You know, North Carolina always wants to play fast, and whenever I can get a slower paced team at home against UNC and probably in conference play, you know, UVA is always a team I look at. It's a team I want to take a look at. And I think Pitt can muddy the waters a bit tonight. Tar Heels come off a win in which they put up 105 points. Meanwhile, Pitt's coming back home off a road loss. So I think the setup is nice also. And I look for them to break things down here, slow it down, muddy it up. I think the Pitt Panthers are live home dogs tonight, plus the 4.5.
Oh, all right. We got a live dog right off the bat for a big game breakdown there with Steve Merrill. Love it. We also have Bryan Leonard in the house. Happy New Year, Bryan. I know you're excited here. College basketball, going to be a whole lot of excitement here over the next couple of weeks as we slide into March Madness. Will be here before we know it. But we got a couple of interesting games, especially this late one tonight with New Mexico taking on Colorado State. I think New Mexico finally healthy in this one, which makes it intriguing as they're getting 3.5 points. How are you looking at this one?
Yeah, after having nothing to watch sports-wise the last 2 days, I'm finally glad we've got some good things on TV today. Yeah, I'm really excited about this New Mexico Colorado State game. I love playing teams that don't get a lot of attention that are very good. And both of these teams are very good basketball teams. Should be one of the better games that we'll see on national TV this year. Lobos have won 11 straight games. Now they're installed as an underdog in their opening conference contest. We're also on an 8-1 spread run heading into tonight. Played very well. Granted, in 2 true road games, they lost at St. Mary's 72-58 and struggled at New Mexico State in a 73-72 victory, but they had just beaten New Mexico State a week earlier, so it's a big rivalry game. I don't feel too bad about that, but I do think because of the way this team has lost on the road compared to the way they played at home and neutral, I think we're getting a little bit of an advantage here in that regard. The line's a little bit higher than what I've expected. I'm actually seeing 4s out there right now, so money's coming in on Colorado State. And I'll take the dog for what it's worth here. The Rams, as I mentioned, excellent team, 12-1 on the season. Their lone loss also coming against St. Mary's, but they lost that one at home. 64-61. An excellent team that's already beaten the likes of Creighton, Colorado, and Washington. This is a contest they go on the road to play Utah State and Boise State, so it's an important game for them in conference action here. That said, I have these two teams rated virtually equal, and I think New Mexico will be a much better road team than what they've shown so far. So you can give me 3.5, 4 points here in a game that I think is going to come down to a coin flip at the end. I'll take that. Give me New Mexico, and I think both these teams have bright futures the rest of the season.
Yeah, all right. Well, we got it. Another Patino in the house here. Another dog in the house, too. That's back-to-back dogs. We're going to see if we can make it 3 for 3 here tonight with our big game breakdowns. But a quick reminder here, guys. Today, $2 Customer Appreciation Day, a hell of a way to start off the new year, which means no coupon needed. No limit to the number of packages either. Why? Well, they're all $2 across the board. Every one of these handicappers, including Brian Leonard, as well as Steve Merrill. And our next big game breakdown from the one and only Mr. Rob Vino. He's got his $2 best bet packages up and available at WagerTalk.com. And you just heard him here, Rob. We're kicking off the new year. I got back-to-back dogs that we're leaning to in a big game breakdown. You are going to take a look at two teams, I think, in the Big East that would love to get a win here. Just, if I don't know, can this end in a tie, or will it never end in a tie? And are you willing to lay to 12 with Creighton over Georgetown?
I am willing to lay the 12 with Creighton here for a couple of reasons, Joe. Let's just start with the fact that this really becomes an important spot for the Creighton Blue Jays, off back-to-back Big East losses, losing overtime at home to Villanova, show up at Marquette Saturday, lose by 5 in a close game, good effort. They've had trouble handling the basketball in both of those games, and recently, if we want to go back a couple more, 18 turnovers against Marquette, 16 turnovers against Villanova. The good news for them is that Georgetown doesn't force turnovers, so maybe their weakness can be negated here. Georgetown's even worse than they are at committing turnovers. 20.3 turnovers per game percentage-wise by the Georgetown Hoyas. And again, that could negate a Creighton weakness, which is their inability to force them. So the turnover game is going to be interesting here, but I think that this particular opponent suits Creighton far better than the previous two did. Then let's just get into fundamental matchups here, because Ryan Kalkbrenner and, believe it or not, Bailey Shireman against this particular team are problems for Georgetown here. Georgetown's solid this year under Ed Cooley at defending the 3, but their 2-point defense is the 217th worst in the nation, and that's not good against Creighton, which has the number 5 2-point offense led by Kalkbrenner. He's got a 4-inch, 50-pound advantage over Supreme Cook, who's the Hoyas center. Should be an interesting matchup for Creighton here, one that they can really take advantage of. Last year in the Big East tourney, Creighton won this game by 41 points. Kalkbrenner only played 15 minutes, had 16 points. That rebounded Georgetown 44-32. If you go back to the previous game, the regular season game played in Georgetown, Kalkbrenner 7 of 11, 16 points, 8 boards. Creighton again crushed Georgetown on the boards, 48-34. And Baylor Shireman in both of those games recorded triple doubles. So you've got a little bit of a problem here for Georgetown against this particular outfit. I think Creighton's defensive strength matches up really, really well against Georgetown. The Georgetown team is dependent on threes. A whole bunch of their offense, nearly 35%, comes from the 3-point arc. That's 75th highest in the nation as far as depending upon 3 to score points. And Creighton just shuts down the arc. They're only allowing 29% on the season. So again, all of these matchups, when I go through them, they seem to favor the Creighton Blue Jays. I think in the end, under different circumstances, you might say that this is a game where Creighton would stroll in on the road, 12-point favorite, not a care in the world, go through the motions, get a W. But the motivation for being 0-2 in the Big East, which Georgetown is too, by the way, but they're more rebuild than Creighton is at this point. You have to figure that Greg McDermott, the head coach here, is going to have his team fully motivated, ready to go. Georgetown, they got beat here by 30 on their home floor 10 days ago by Marquette. And prior to that, they lost by 12 here to Syracuse. So they can be beaten by margin. Creighton's good enough to win by margin. I think the fact that Kalkbrenner, interior wise, is going to attract more attention, opens up their 3-point shooters. This should be a really good game for Creighton. So we'll go ahead and lay the 12 with Creighton to get their first Big East win and cover here tonight against Georgetown.
Well, never easy to go on the road in the Big East and win, much less win by margin. But the stars are lining in this one here with Creighton, who needs a win here, to say the least, in Big East play. So that's the fun part of this time of year right now, is all focus will be on all big-time conference games here. This all means a lot, ultimately, when it's all said and done, on who will be playing for a national championship come March Madness. Why we love college basketball this time of year. So now we've got 3 big game breakdowns coming up, 3 best bets. Go ahead, smash that like button if you're joining us here today on this Tuesday. Happy New Year. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, become part of the WagerTalk TV family, as nobody has the kind of daily and weekly content that we do, talking about all the big matchups, whether it be college basketball, NHL, NBA, NFL playoffs coming up, of course, a big national championship game coming. We have got you covered. So does Steve RR1L Merrill, as he's getting ready to go out west for an interesting best bet in the game here tonight. But it is $2 Customer Appreciation Day, Merrill, so I know you got to have something locked and loaded for us there as well.
Yeah, it's strong. In fact, my strongest college basketball best bet of the night is available for just $2. Gave you a big game breakdown earlier. That's actually my free play on the page. I'm going to give you a bonus free play here that you see on the screen in just a moment. I'll give you a reasoning behind it. But most importantly, my strongest best bet tonight, a college basketball moneymaker, a strong 4% play, is available for just $2. It's normally $25. You get it for just $2. That's over a 95% discount. But you might want to consider a New Year's resolution of taking a serious long-term investment approach in 2024. And I say that quite serious because in 2022 and 2023 combined, the last 2 years combined now, nobody has won more units in all sports sides than I have. Last year, nobody won more in the NBA in 2023, up 40 net games, 103 and 63, NBA alone in 2023. College basketball was number 1 for a 2-year span from 2021. We're off to a nice start this year. Consider an all sports upgrade. I still have a 41% instant discount available on a 1-year, 365-day all sports package. Works out to just over $3 a day. Numerous people took advantage the last couple of days. We extended it. Some people got on board today. Even on $2 Tuesday, some people are taking a smart long-term investment approach. And why not? We went 4-1 yesterday on January 1st in the bowl games to start off New Year's. So check it out. $2 Tuesday, strong best bet, but that all year, all sports access is the best value, just over $3 a day. All right, let's look at why Wyoming -5 has some value tonight. Goes at 8:30 Eastern on Tuesday. First off, I like the altitude edge. You know, we talked about the slowdown versus fast pace in the other game I analyzed, North Carolina, Pittsburgh. That is my free play on the site, by the way. So check out wagertalk.com for daily free plays. But this is another game that caught my attention because I always like to look for altitude against West Coast California teams, especially teams that don't come out too often. And I don't think San Jose State's used to this. And they have played Montana. They've played North Dakota State. But they didn't do too well. Lost straight up and ATS in both of those games. In fact, they've only played 3 true road games all season. And that was in that 3-game span in early December, late November. And they went 0-3 straight up and ATS in those 3 games. They do shoot the ball well overall, 47% from the field, but I think it's a little misleading. And this is a Wyoming team that does not rely on the 3 much. I always like teams also don't rely on the 3 because you take out some of that random variance. I don't see San Jose State shooting well on the road in the altitude from 3. Wyoming will play better at home. And the Cowboys have played 9 of their 13 games, or actually I believe it's 5 of their 13 have been at home. So 8 of their 13 have been away from home this year. This is only their 6th home game, and they're 4-1 straight up in those 5 home games this season. They return home after back-to-back road losses in tough venues at UTEP and BYU. Looks like a good bounce-back spot for Wyoming. Looks like a good setup in a matchup. I like Wyoming -5 or less. Tips off at 8:30 Eastern tonight on Tuesday. And don't forget my strongest play of the night in college hoops, a powerful moneymaker, 4-1 start to 2023 after being 2024 after being number 1 in 2022 and 2023. Check out that best bet for just $2. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All right, great stuff there, guys. Make sure you take advantage of it. Visit Steve Merrill over at WagerTalk.com. And if you're there, you might as well check out Brian Leonard, who, once again, as we start off a new year, Brian, crushing the NHL. And you've been on a hell of a run here in college basketball, I believe, just before the end of the year. I think on Friday, you had a boatload of plays up there for college hoops. You loved the card, and you won every damn one of them. So, congrats here, rolling over into 2024. What do you got up along with the best bet you're going to give us over at wagertalk.com?
Yeah, you mentioned it. A 5-0 day in college basketball. We did have one play yesterday. It came up a point short. I had Texas in that one, but we won our other game in football. Easy win on Oregon. 3-1 on the season, on the bowl season. I'll take that anytime. Been finished the regular season in football very well in college action. I've got one play up for $2 on the site right now. Number 4 on the season in the NHL and net profit. Number 1 in the history of Wager Talk on NHL net profit. Number 4 on the season in college basketball. So it's going really well for us. Started to eliminate some of the sports that we weren't doing very well in. Not nearly as successful as college basketball in the NHL. So that's what we'll spend a lot of time with until we get to the NBA playoffs, which are always a nice money maker. And I think these gentlemen can agree on that. But going to go back to basketball. This is my one play I used in college basketball today for clients. Very similar handicap to the game I gave out earlier in the big game breakdown. We're looking at Butler and St. John's. The Bulldogs 10-3 on the season, but coming off of an 85-75 loss to Providence. They had previously won 7 straight games before that loss. Butler's played 2 road games, losses at Michigan State and Providence. So very similar to the other handicap. That small road sample size, I think, gives us a little bit of an advantage here. Lines coming down as we speak in this one. It was up at 7.5, now 7 and 6.5 we're seeing for Butler. St. John's enters play at 9-4 on the season, but to their credit, they played a really tough non-conference slate. In fact, they almost knocked off Connecticut on the road a week ago. That was a surprise. This Connecticut's one of the best teams, obviously, national championship from a year ago. But we feel these two clubs are much closer than this line suggests. Butler has the much better effective field goal percentage, and as I mentioned, the coaching staff will have this game circled after losing the last 2. In fact, there are only 2 games on the road this year. I expect a really good effort out of Butler, and I thought this line probably should be in the 5 range, and it opened 7.5. So we still have some value here on the Butler Bulldogs.
Still go get them there with Butler laying an awful lot of points there, the Johnnies tonight. So good stuff there. We do have one more best bet coming your way with none other than Mr. Rob Vino, coming off a very profitable weekend there, Rob Vino, as we ring in the new year here, as we still got one bowl game left, I guess. National championship game coming. We've got 1 week left in the regular season of the NFL, but we got plenty of NBA and, of course, college hoops coming up. What do you have locked and loaded for $2 here today over at your page for us?
Yeah, for Customer Appreciation Day, Joe, I went straight to the Sunday NFL card where there's just, a ton of weeding to be done as far as playoff scenarios are concerned, but found a best bet selection that I really liked and put it up yesterday so folks can have at it for $2 up and available right now, wagertalk.com. Aside from that, you can also get my college hoop and NBA college hoop play up and available right now, as is a free play. So go ahead and visit my page at wagertalk.com. Let's not leave out that FCS championship game too, Joe. The South Dakota State and Montana Grizzlies matchup on Saturday may have some action there. Going to look here, best bet wise, Wake Forest at Boston College. And I just figured let's not complicate things here, Joe. This total is 150. It's not a show unless I'm playing something over. So let's play it over 150. 150 just looks a little bit small to me. And again, I don't want to overcomplicate it. Wake Forest, though, when I look at it, their defensive numbers overall, it's possible they could be some of the phoniest in the country. They allowed between 56 and 68 points 6 times this year, which is really, really good. Until you figure out that those 6 opponents were either some of the slowest paced teams in the country or some of the worst offensive efficiency teams in the country. Towson, Charleston Southern, Rutgers, NJIT, Delaware State, and Presbyterian. Those 6 clubs all rank 300th or worse in either adjusted tempo, offensive efficiency, or effective field goal percentage, basically meaning they're not going to score a lot of points in any game. Some of those teams, have 2 of those categories in their favor, which makes it even worse and makes Wake Forest defensive overall numbers look a little bit skewed to me. The other 6 games, they happen to play competent offensive squads. Every one of those games saw the opponent score 71 or more. In all, 6 of those games finished between 147 and 179 as far as total is concerned. Tonight, we're looking at 150. The average of those games, 158.5, which is better than what we need tonight. Even their most recent game, they played Virginia Tech, right? They played a good defensive game, held Virginia Tech, a potent offense to 63 points, but the game total still got to 149 because Wake Forest is so good offensively. BC's a competent offense, which I just listed. Wake Forest has trouble with. BC averages 79.5 a game, 81.5 at home. Their games have gone over 150 points in 5 straight now, looking for 6 straight here tonight. If you add in the fact that, like I said, Wake Forest offense is ultra efficient, they rank high in a lot of offensive categories this season. And BC, they've only been faced with an offense like this that's high scoring 3 times: St. John's, NC State, and Colorado State. Those 3 games, NC State got 80. St. John's got 80, NC State got 84, Colorado State got 86. Wouldn't be surprised if Wake Forest got to 80 here. I think that if you have a concern, it would be it's Wake Forest's only 2nd true road game of the season and 1st inside the conference. However, when they went to Georgia in their only road game, that final was 80-77, 157 points. And in what figures to be a close game, just looking at the line, these are 2 of the best free throw shooting teams in the nation. Wake is actually 5th best, 79.5% from the free throw line. And BC 32nd, 76.2. So in a close game, if we get fouls down the stretch, I think we can count on late foul shot points. Give me over 150, Joe. Just seems like it's too small to me. And like I say, we don't want to overcomplicate it. Let's just go over with 2 offensive-minded teams.
Yeah, I don't think classes start up until next week anyway in a lot of these schools. So maybe not as much in the craziness for home court advantage in some of these spots that we might have a little bit down the road, but certainly a game where we're going to get a whole lot of points here tonight with BC and Wake Forest. And there you got it. 3 big game breakdowns. We've got 3 best bets for you as college basketball off and running here in 2024. Do not forget about $2 Customer Appreciation Day. No better way to start the new year than to partner up with Steve, R1L, Merrill, Brian, Leonard, Rob, Vino. Guys, their best bets are locked and loaded right now for $2 over at WagerTalk.com. Start the year off right. Partner up with these guys. There's no limit to that $2. So go over there. No coupon needed, but you do need to hit the like button, and you do need to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so. And I'll give you one other great one too. If you haven't done so, click on the video on the screen right now, as you'll get access to all the other great head-to-head matchups in college basketball, NBA, NFL, national championship. We've got you covered here at Wager Talk TV. We'll be back tomorrow at it again. Until then, best of luck with all your plays. We'll